being recorded now.
Oh.
Hey Andy, are you joined? Oh yeah, we have a few people joined. How's the audio? Can someone let me know in chat if the audio is okay?
Still waiting for the room.
All right.
Are you recording?
Yeah, it's recording now.
Oh.
Okay. Thank you. Someone told me it's fine.
Awesome. There's a chat window as well. Cool.
Yeah, do you want to bring up the gitter chat?
Okay.
It's gitter.im Google. Just keep an eye on that while I'm talking.
Google. One word.
Mm.
This?
Yeah, that's.
Oh, slash good.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh yeah, here you go.
Yeah, I think it started pretty soon. Just waiting for the rest of the team to join. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the new release that we've just made. So it's 3.1.0. So what we've released today is 3.1.0 RC1 on PyPy. So as we'll kind of get into in the slides, we've actually changed quite a bit about the build system and and we've added kind of a way that you can install Go. So today we've put some packages on PyPy so that you can pip install the server and the client. And because we've only just done this, so we did it last night, the rest of the pieces still haven't quite caught up. So there'll be a dev package, and the Docker container needs a little bit of work, and some install scripts and other stuff will be coming soon. There's detailed release notes at this link here, and if you're going to start using the release version today, so I successfully upgraded an old server to this new version and repack clients, and these clients are the client version that we're running ourselves at the moment. So if you're going to do that, definitely look at the release notes, because there's definitely some things you should be aware of, some changes that have been made. So what's new here? So I'm going to briefly kind of run through these and then go into a bit more detail of each. So we made a big change that we're calling components, that basically allows us to deliver pieces of functionality independent of the main client. And there's been a whole bunch of recall work since last release, which was quite a while ago. We've added an approval ACLs system so that you can make rules for who can approve which machines based on client labels. We've continued API work, so we've talked about this in a previous meetup, but this is now enabling sort of a lot of automatic collection, which is great. We've written a BigQuery output plugin, so this basically gets you analysis parity with what we have internally. So it's a very similar system to what we use, and BigQuery is actually built on the system that we use. And as I said, we've made a lot of changes to the build system. So you can now pip install. And there's tons of bug fixes and performance improvements. And there's at least one, there's been quite a bit of UI work too, but there's one kind of important piece that I'd like to call out kind of in this presentation. I'll do at the end. And just since the last release, if you haven't kind of updated your artifacts repository at all, there's tons and tons more of those in there now. So that's all in the forensic artifacts repository. So you can kind of update those whenever, but if you haven't updated since the last release, then there'll be a whole lot more artifacts in there. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is components. This is the largest change, and this is apparently a real picture. Someone actually parked a car with a giant Python inside it at some resort in the Philippines. But we're basically packing Python code inside Python code. So we're having basically we've created this system called components, where we can download and update separately from the main GRR client, so that we can have these bundles of Python code that we deliver and update separately. And we're delivering recall, and also we've also made a component for the chipsec capabilities.
I don't think we can see the slides.
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
Oh,
How does
okay.
it work?
Oh, did I forget to?
Do you have to do something to make
Yeah,
slides?
maybe. Sorry, maybe I didn't present. Okay. How's this?
I don't know. We still don't see it, do we? Oh wait, it's catching up.
It's coming?
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay. Just check the gitter chat. Are people okay now? Sorry, I okay.
Okay.
All right.
Good. Yeah. Sorry.
That's going to make for a fairly boring recording at the start now. So I'm going to make the slides available too, so you'll be able to look at them independently. So yeah, we're delivering recall in this way, and also chipsec. So chipsec is a Intel developed capability that allows you to collect and verify your firmware. So we're kind of working on this capability at the moment, and it's one of the pieces we're kind of bundling in.
Do you want to just go through the slides that we didn't see? Again, just
Okay.
highlights, release highlights.
Yeah,
so
okay.
People might have missed that.
All right, I'll just quickly run back to the start. Okay. So yeah, components, recall, approval ACLs, API, BigQuery, build system. Okay, so this is pretty much where I was up to. So yeah, recall and chipsec we're delivering in this way. So this is actually quite nice. We've already we're using this internally, and we've already been through. Basically, one of the problems we had was kind of this tight coupling between recall and the GRR client release meant that either we were waiting on recall for a bug fix or something, or recall was waiting on us to update a client. And now that we can kind of deliver recall separately, that means we can iterate a lot faster and deliver new capability quicker. And we're also going to so we're going to write a blog post on kind of how you do this yourself. But the idea is that this is a way that you can deliver some code to the client and customize the client without having to kind of rebuild the whole thing and re-push it to all the systems.
Yeah. That was a big pain point because we had some users that wanted to do some experiments. I know there was some people that were trying to use bulk extractor or something like this with the client, and before they had to rebuild the entire client and all the platforms and all this sort of stuff. And this makes it a little bit easier.
Right. So yeah, in terms of recalls, as I said, updatable independently of GRR now. We've got really pretty good profile coverage for Ubuntu Linux kernels, and so Linux has kind of traditionally been a tougher place to do memory forensics, but at least on Ubuntu we've got good profile coverage now. And we've also kind of made the kind of regular memory acquisition process a lot faster. So we now have the AF4 acquire plugin that uses snappy compression so that we can get good compression and basically just move the memory image quicker. So that was a good performance improvement that came with newer recall. So another large change we've made is the build system. So as of now, you can actually pip install, which is a pretty big improvement over the way that you needed to either get a development environment or get set up, install a server. There's quite a lot of dependencies that was mostly automated installing for you, but we've moved to a much more kind of Pythonic way of doing this, so that there's now a pip package, and you can just install like this. So for the moment, there's still a few dependencies that you need, and if you're going to run both of those on the same machine, then you'll have to kind of do some manual work with your config to kind of make them talk to each other. But this does actually work right now. So it's really cool. And it's also going to simplify basically a lot of the kind of scripts and stuff we had around building and installing Go. So those haven't quite caught up to this work yet. So we still need we're still doing some work to update those. So approval ACLs. So the traditional kind of way that we use this, we do approvals when we're running Go anyway, is that we have the kind of two-person approver system. It's kind of like the nuclear key thing here, where two people need to turn the key. So that's good, but there were definitely times when we wanted kind of more power over kind of and more control over who can approve exactly access to which machines, and treat machines differently from others. So that's what we've built. We've built this approval ACL system that basically gives you arbitrarily complex kind of rules about who can approve access to what. and it's based on client labels. So you might label you might bake into the client when you build it a sensitive label, say, and then to get approval, to get access to those machines, you can create an approval ACL that says we need to get approval from legal and security before anyone can get access to these machines. So that there's a lot of flexibility there about how exactly you build those, and I know this was an important feature that actually a couple of companies were very interested in. But it was one of the blockers they had for deploying GRR. So I think it's a fairly important capability. And I'm going to write a blog post very soon about with some examples about how you actually do that, how you would build some ACLs. So we've continued to work on the API. We've covered this in a previous meetup. This link, so I won't go into too much detail, but we've continued to migrate like almost all the UI functionality to an API kind of server front end separation. So that means that basically anything you can do in the UI, you can now do programmatically via the API as well too. And so this has basically enabled us to start doing kind of externally triggered collection. So, triggering collection based on signaling events and that kind of stuff is we're now doing that internally, and you can too. We've added a BigQuery output plugin. So BigQuery is a Google product that gives you a SQL kind of interface into large data, and so it allows you to do analysis at scale of really big data sets. And so the way this works in GRR is that you select this BigQuery. You have to basically do a little bit of setup. You have to kind of connect GRR to the BigQuery cloud platform project and set up some authentication credentials. But then basically all you need to do is select BigQuery as an output plugin for either a hunt or a flow. And the results will just be streamed out there as they arrive. So the results just get sent to BigQuery, and this enables you. And basically every 5 minutes we pump those results out. So you can start a hunt and you can immediately analyze the information as it's coming in, and you get really great performance of you get all the power of Google's cloud for doing those queries over that data. So I wrote a fairly extensive blog post about how to set this up and how to use it and what it looks like and stuff, so you can check that out. And this is just what the UI looks like. So you can see here I have a hunt that has 600,000 or so results in it, and this is it's quite a nice UI actually. I really like it. So this is the one of the, there's been quite a lot of UI work, but this was one of the sort of more important and requested features that we had, so I wanted to call this one out. So for a long time you could basically only do AND operations in hunt rules. So you could say, I want to target Windows machines that have this label, but you couldn't do, I want to target Windows machines that have this label or this label. And so that's now possible. So you can see this hunt is Windows machines that have this label or this label. And so this basically means that, if you have, we were running into situations where we had, we've probably got like 30 different kind of different segments labeled differently. And we wanted to look at, say, 10 of them and just the Windows machines. And we couldn't really do that easily. We had to create basically 10 hunts. So this actually makes a big difference in terms of being more targeted with your hunts and using labels effectively. So I just wanted to mention, so I'm getting kind of close to the end of this, and then we'll switch to Q&A. I wanted this to be a fairly brief kind of presentation overview, and then plenty of time for questions. So in terms of kind of, and actually if you have questions, you can start dropping them in the gitter chat, and we'll get to them in just a couple of minutes. So in terms of what we're working on this quarter, so I'm working on a cloud deployment using the G-Cloud Deployment Manager. That'll basically mean that you can stand up GRR quickly and easily using Docker containers on Google Cloud Platform. We're going to start using self-upgrade kind of more internally and on kind of like larger pieces, like on more clients. So we'll probably shake out a few bugs in that process. It should work pretty well now, but we're going to start using it more intensively ourselves. So that will inevitably make it more reliable. So that's good. And we also have a bunch of performance work that we're going to do this quarter. So there's some hunt processing, some work on making hunt processing faster, and also some work on notification queues. That it's all kind of behind the scenes, but is very important to make the system go fast. And also plenty of UI work still too. So we want to make sure we're rendering recall results properly and they're easy to find. And we also want to improve the hunt UI a bit. So here's a whole pile of links to everything that I've talked about, basically. And we'll switch to Q&A now. If people don't have questions,
Can you share some API code examples showing the best way to get the FF4 and C and the clients and parse them?
Yeah, so we should do that.
Okay. We should have like snippets or like
something,
some documentation.
Yeah.
Okay. Could you talk a little about new features related to Yara? So I can.
Do you want to take that?
I can take that. So basically, what we made sure in this release is that Yara is going to be built into Rekall, because in the last release it was kind of an optional dependency, and now it's a mandatory dependency, so it has to be in. So currently we have Yara for memory, but we don't really have Yara for files yet. And I guess that's something that we could put in if people want to run Yara 6 against files. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think there's actually a feature request open for Yara signatures on files. People should +1 that if they if that's definitely something they want.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is possible to invert the label ACL so that the operation is only possible against clients without a label.
Let me see. To think about that.
I don't think so, but
I don't think
it's
so.
useful.
Yeah,
so we could add instead of match any of, we could have
so that operation is only
possible
possible against lines without a label.
Yeah. It actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should add that in.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, I don't think it will work at the moment, but yeah, we should think about. Yeah, Brian, do you want to file a feature request?
The next one, is there a way we can stream data to a Linux host instead of BigQuery?
Yeah, so you can use CSV export is like locally as a output plugin, and you can. I mean, they are plugins, so you can write your own to do whatever you like. But yeah, the basic one is CSV, and then you can get that into you could import that into a SQL database or something.
Oh, wait. Okay, Milos says that that you can do that. Okay.
You can do what?
Do you mean not match a label? Is that right? Oh, here we go. It says the ACLs can be inverted already. Apparently, you can do that. So you can actually specify in the drop-down box not match any of these labels, and it will do that. Is what?
Oh right. I was actually thinking about right. I was thinking about something actually completely label ACLs. But this is for the client approval ACLs, right? So this is different. So like I think so. Miloš is talking and Andy are talking about hunt label ACLs, the matching rules. Where I think Brian is talking about he only wants to yeah. So yeah, Andy says this is about hunts. Yeah. So I think Brian wants basically you can only get an approval for a client that isn't labeled.
I see. Right.
Basically, and all labeled clients have special rules. But if it's unlabeled, then you can get an approval for it.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Or I think that's what he wants.
Okay. I thought like Andy that he wanted for the.
Oh right.
Approval,
yeah.
But
yeah.
You're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Brian says I'm right. Yeah. So yeah. That's what he's after. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Kudovins is talking about Yara. Yeah. Yara stuff didn't make it. I don't think. Andy, I'm pretty sure that's not in, and you can clarify that. Yeah.
Okay, so CSV export does not work for every flow. It's not available for processes.
That's probably a bug. Sounds like a bug.
Is it a bug?
I don't think that's by design.
Okay.
Right? Like you should be able to, if you.
So the thing is that when the hunt exports the data type, so the data type has to have a converter. If it doesn't have one, it has like a default converter. Guess. Yeah. But maybe there isn't one for processes.
Yeah, I mean it's possible there's a bug there. But
or the default one doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe is saying that CSV output has worked on processes.
For processes. Yeah. Okay. Cybercups, maybe like it depends. I mean, it also depends like what processes. If it's like a recall PS list versus a client action.
Yeah. So obviously the problem is that when you are creating a CSV file, you are reducing the data, right? So there's data reduction.
It has to be flattened. Yeah.
Yeah. So that.
But yeah, if that doesn't work, then that's a bug. That's not like we don't intend process data to be exported by a CSV or anything.
Oh, he's talking about generate tar option for processes hunt flow.
Generate tar option processes.
No, this is not the generate tar option. It's the output plugin.
Oh right, yeah. So yeah, that's that's a bit confusing here. So there's a couple of different ways you can get data out. So you can choose like when you're creating the hunt, you can choose an output plugin, and that will kind of get exported as the results come in. Or for like if you download a bunch of files, then in the UI we have this thing where you can like generate a tarball and download all the files at once. But they're actually two separate things. So the CSV thing for process data, you would use the output plugin. So you would choose like the CSV plugin when you made that hunt.
Okay, the next question. There was a couple of problems with artifact collector where it couldn't find new artifacts, and the server has to be restarted before it could find them.
Yeah, I mean, I would have reproduced this. So I tried there was one thread that suggested that if you took one of the existing artifacts, modified it, uploaded it to Artifact Manager, that it didn't work. And I think maybe there was a bug in the previous server, but I couldn't reproduce it with a more recent version. So yeah, definitely try it out and check. But there may have been a bug there before, but I couldn't reproduce it with a recent version.
Okay, so it might have worked. I mean, so we have a lot of small bugs that we fix along the way. That we may not have So it's saying uploaded via the UI.
Yeah, so that was the one I was talking about, where you take a working artifact, modify it in some way, like, or even just rename it and then upload it. There were a couple of people who reported that didn't work, but I tried it and it worked okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, I'd definitely be interested in knowing if you can reproduce that with the new server. We'll definitely look at it.
Cool. All right. I don't know if there's any more questions.
I'll just give people another minute or so, see if there's any more questions they want to get answered.
Yeah, I'm sure if people will play with it, it will break. They'll feel files and bug. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely look at the release notes though. There's some things in there. So you'll need you basically need to get a new interrogate run for the user's information to get updated because we changed the format of the knowledge base protocol buffer that lives underneath there. So you won't, like, the users.homedir kind of expansion stuff won't work until a fresh interrogate is run. So that's one thing, and there's a couple of other sort of things you should be aware of too. There's a change to how if you created any of your own cron jobs inside of Go, then there's a change to kind of how they were run. So there used to be one list of them, and now we're listing them in a different way. So you have to kind of migrate that. There's a couple of other things to be aware of too. So definitely look at the release notes when you're upgrading.
All right.
Okay, cool. I think we're going to call it unless anyone wants to get a last-minute question in on the chat. Feel free to send us emails on the list, of course, too. All right.
All right.
Thanks everyone.